Hello, folks. Jason up, New 80s Revolution Cave. And I made a video earlier today, but I got some news. A friend of mine on Instagram sent me a post that George Foreman has died. Boxing legend, legendary heavyweight champion George Foreman has passed away. And usually I'll come on and talk about a wrestler when they die. I think the last time I talked about somebody was, I don't know, Howard Finkel or Harley Race when they passed. But as much as we, enjoy the wrestling history on this channel, boxing was huge for me in the 90s because of my grandpa. My grandfather and I would watch every week. We'd watch Tuesday night fights on USA, and George Foreman's comeback, which nobody would have expected. Nobody would have thought that George Foreman would come out of retirement and do what he did. But his comeback was showcased a few times on Tuesday night fights on the USA Network. My grandfather took me to see George Foreman's comeback fights in Rochester at the Rochester War Memorial in '89. He fought a guy named Mark Young. I don't know where along the comeback he was. I don't know what Mark Young is up to these days, but George Foreman handed Mark Young a loss. And I was in the cheap seats for that. I was way up in the not the bleachers, but the way up in the general admission seating. That was the second time. That was the first time, first or second, I can't remember, but that was one of two times that my grandpa took me to the War Memorial to watch boxing. We actually watched a taping of Tuesday Night Fights. Oscar De La Hoya was on the card. That was the big main event during his run. But George Foreman, one of the best memories I have was him defeating Michael Moore for the heavyweight title and completely shocking the world. Now, this is when boxing was special. The 90s boxing was so special. It was very popular. It was there were a lot of boxers that were household names, especially in the heavyweight division, and George Foreman was one of them. Well, somehow George Foreman fought up to a title match with then champion Michael Moore, who had one of the three division championships. I mean, there were like three main divisions in the 90s. And Michael Moore had one of the titles. And it was an HBO fight. And my grandfather, for whatever reason, wasn't up. He missed it. We would watch them together. He'd go to bed really early, and he would come down. And he'd come down at 10 o'clock when HBO boxing would start. And we'd watch a couple of fights, and then they'd have the main event at like 11, 12 o'clock. Well, for whatever reason, whether he was sick or just tired, I don't know, but he didn't come down. And I sat there and watched George Foreman defeat Michael Moore for the world championship, the world heavyweight boxing championship. And I remember after Foreman knocked him out, George Foreman went to the corner and just kneeled down in the corner while Jim Lampley and his iconic voice kept saying, "It happened. It happened." And that was one of the most locked in boxing memories, locked in George Foreman memories. I remember his unorthodox blocking style, and how kind and sweet and wholesome he seemed. Best smile, very, very lovely person, I'm sure. Never had the honor to meet George Foreman, but just found out that he passed away, and I'm shocked. I'm shocked. He was 76, I think. Haven't heard about George Foreman or heard from George Foreman in quite a while, and unfortunately, George Foreman has passed away. So rest in peace, champ, and thank you for the memories etched in my brain, being a part of the 90s boxing scene, and more importantly, my grandfather and I sitting around the family room late at night, dark, with a couple of Pepsis and watching HBO boxing. Rest in peace, George Foreman.